Welcome to the grain cart tractor here at Borderview Farms. We're shelling corn. That's what we do these time of year. We shell corn. Dad's in the combine. I'm in the grain cart again. You guys watch from back there for a second while I get turned around. Can everybody hear me? You see okay? Alright, well, we'll give a few minutes for some people to join here, but things are going well here. We're having a big day. We are working on a field here. We're about 47, 48 acres into this field. We already did another, I think, 12 before that this morning, so about 60 acres on the day. That's good. For being 4 o'clock, that's pretty good. And I'm hoping to finish this field. There's 78 here total, maybe 75 maybe, with a couple of wet holes that we always farm around. So, yeah, if we could get another 30 or so done today, that'd be great. Not even that, 25. We are going to have to stop for fuel at some point. That's probably what's going to end this live stream, is when Dad comes on and says, I'm too nervous and we have to stop for fuel. He came on the radio a little bit ago, said he had 3 bars left. I said, well, you're going to need some, but you're good for a little bit yet. So, we'll see. All right, we got a few comments coming here. You should go buy an X9. Tell you what, you send me the $1 million and I'll go buy it. It was a heck of a combine. I loved driving that thing, but they have a hefty price tag with them, and way more than we need. Right? We have no need for a X9 combine, really. Yeah, we'll get into that a little more later in this live stream. I'm sure we can talk about it some, but it just doesn't really fit our operation. So, afternoon. Hello. Hi, Steven. Good afternoon. Hello. Nice haircut. Thanks. Yeah, I needed it. We got that little bit of rain yesterday morning, and gave me some time to get a haircut. So, I was able to get that done, catch up on a few things that we needed to get done. I did not, however, take the opportunity to shave. So, we're getting a little shaggy. It's alright, tomorrow's Sunday, church day. We'll shave for that. Anyway. All from New Jersey. Glad all is going well in harvest. Safe farming to you and your family. Thank you. How many acres you running? We farm a little over 3,000 total. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello. You don't need an X9 combine, but can we maybe get a 790 on this channel? That's also unlikely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the difference between a 780 and a 790 are fairly minimal. In fact, I've got a good friend of mine who they've been running a 690, and been having some issues with it here recently, and just here a couple of days ago went and bought a 780. So a newer series, but a size smaller. And I asked him, I said, so do you miss your horsepower? And he said, no, I don't even notice it. So I don't know if a 790 would be any benefit to us or not. But we do pretty well with what we've got. Why do your woodlots exist if they have such a negative effect on yield? Well, because they're usually the wet spots, or the spots that are too unproductive to farm. So when the original settlers came to this area here, all of really northwest Ohio, southern Michigan, it was all trees. There was not big open fields like this. This was all woods. They completely cleared this back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, and anything that's left in trees is trees because it was too wet to farm, basically, or there's a reason that there's trees still there. If not, it would have gotten cleared out a long time ago. So at this point, the cost of clearing trees is so outrageously expensive that most of the time that doesn't make any sense. Now, we trim trees back. We take some fence rows out every now and then. Here and there, well, sometimes you'll see some people clearing, 5 or 10 acres worth of trees, but it's pretty rare. They don't let us use dynamite anymore. See, when they originally cleared all of this, they would just blow the stumps out with dynamite, and for some reason we aren't allowed to do that now, which is ridiculous. I mean, come on. But yeah, it's an expensive process. So that's why the trees are still there, because it's not productive for farm ground and it's too expensive to clear them. Doing great with what you have. No need to overdo yourself in more debt. Yeah, pretty much. Will the bins at Berkey hold remaining corn for your fields in that location? No, probably not. We've got, I think, one of the small bins full of wheat. And then we should be able to hold another 20, 26, 32, 37, not quite 40,000 bushels of corn down there. Do some rough math. Should have a little over 50, between 50 and 60,000. So we'll have to haul 15 to 20,000 probably in during the fall. But we've got contracts to fill. That stuff's already sold, so it's not unexpected. And we're really close to Maumee and Toledo and some of the major grain elevators down there that it's not hard to do. Did you get all the chicken litter spread that you're going to put down? Yes. The chicken litter guys came and finished that up last week. Dad's got all of it worked in except for, I think, 2 fields. Maybe 3, but they're fields that we're waiting on some lime, and that lime finally got hauled yesterday. I wonder if the second load ever showed up today. It's just down the road. I was waiting on two loads of mag lime, dolomitic lime, instead of the high cal lime. And I saw one pile got dumped yesterday, so I don't know if the second one came or not. But as soon as we get done spreading our potash, we'll get that spread and we can finish the tillage there. But yeah, the litter's all spread. Watching your live stream, doing the same thing you are. There you go. Run a grain cart. Do you, your dad, and your uncle split the farm in thirds? No, we do not. And this is one of the things that I love about the way our farm is set up, and it goes back to how my dad and uncles set it up way back in the early 80s. But we are a corporation. We are a C Corp, and we all own stock. So we don't farm for ourselves. It's not my equipment and dad's equipment. It's not my land and dad's land and Phil's land, and we got to keep everything separate, and everybody does their own things and makes their own decision. We farm together. We all own shares in the corporation, and yeah, I mean, technically that makes us one of those dirty corporate farms, but we're all family owned. It's still a family farm, right? So yeah, I really, really appreciate that, because it makes it so much easier for us to all work together. And from a transition standpoint, now we don't all own equal amounts, but the longer we go, the more time I'm around and in the farm and stuff, the more shares I get, and that's kind of the transition plan. And it makes it a lot easier to do than for me to all of a sudden say, okay, you got to come up with $4 million to buy out, the 2 in the older generation, or 1 of the older generation, or whatever it is. Being set up as a corporation is a huge advantage. I'm gonna turn you guys around for a little bit just so you can watch here. Kind of watch. There, we'll do that one for now. Anyway, so yeah, it's not split in thirds. If they brought you an X9 with a 61-foot honeybee flex draper to demo for 2 days, I would love to see your grin ear to ear. I think you would somehow manage to budget for one. Yeah, I don't know if a 61-foot draper would be in the picture, but I would have loved to run that X9 in beans, and that was the original plan. It just didn't work out because we made it through beans so fast this year. But I think the technology, as far as the predictive ground speed stuff, would be awesome to see how that works in beans.
It is a good time to stop and get fuel, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to have you finish these long rows and then park the cart when you did this short rows in front of the wet hole over here while I went and got it. But whatever you want to do. Okay.
Well, it's flashing 2 bars now. If there's plenty of fuel, I can do that.
You got plenty to do that, but if it makes you nervous, you do what you want to do.
So we can do that.
Okay. All right. Really enjoyed the X9 episode. Still considering a 12-row head, or were you just messing with us? Well, we never really have been considering a 12-row head. However, running that 16-row and keeping up as well as we did, and I know we had 4 people, right? We had 2 truck drivers, or a truck driver, and Phil just stayed at the farm dumping. It kind of opened up the possibility that, hey, we probably could run a 12-row and be just fine. So We might do that. Oh, I see why he wanted to stop, because I don't have anywhere to dump. The cart's full, we can take another round if I have to. Anyway, yeah, we could probably run a 12 row and be just fine with it. We're going to shut the combine down more, but I don't know. So that door is open. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen this year. It's probably not going to happen for next year. But it's a possibility in the future, I think. Dad and I are not the ones you need to convince, or anybody needs to convince. It's Phil that just, like, he can't keep up trucking for an 8-row. Why would he want a 12-row? It doesn't make any sense to him, and he's not wrong. Watching other channels, some field fires, would a water truck in the field help you if that were to happen? Well, I mean, yeah, having a water truck in the field would help if that was to happen. Now, field fires are not something that we worry a ton about. It's been really dry this fall, so they're a little more common, but even the 5 or 6 combine fires that I've heard of this year haven't resulted in field fires. So it's not something that we are so concerned about that we're going to just park a truck at the end of every field that we're working. Wouldn't necessarily be that helpful. They do put some water tanks on grain carts now that would help with that situation, especially even just a combine fire to help try and get it out. We do have fire extinguishers on the combine itself, so yeah. But I mean, yeah, it would help if you had that situation. We aren't concerned enough about that to take that precaution, if that makes sense. You can still use tannerite, drill a hole through a bunch of holes, pack it tight. Yeah. Hello from Alberta, Canada. Hello. Looking forward to see if that chicken juice starter works or not. I'm not. North Central Georgia here. Hello. Didn't you want a spreader on tracks? No. Kind of no. So here's the deal with the spreader. They do make some spreaders on tracks, specifically Underfirth. I don't know that Salford does. And would that be awesome? Yes. However, a spreader is something that you're using generally in decent ground conditions. You're not generally going in there when it's super wet or have to do it, to get it done. So you've got a little bit wider window. And 2, you're going to spend way more time on the road with that than most other things. And so roads can be difficult on tracks, and it's not something you really want to do. So no, I really didn't want a spreader on tracks. There's advantages, but there's too many disadvantages with that. So my next truck's here, so we can get empty. Does your dad and Phil watch YouTube channel? I don't think Phil does. He might sometimes, but Dad does. He catches videos every now and then. He likes watching stuff when he goes home for lunch. He watches weather channels and stuff like that. I don't know. Where's he going? Anyway. Crazy question. Were the arrowheads on display in the farm office found on your farm? Well, that's not a crazy question, but the answer is mostly no. My uncle collects them and hangs them up in the office there, so he buys them. There's an auction down by Findlay that he goes to. We have found a few. I do have a couple that we have found, different Indian rocks, arrowheads and stuff. They're sitting on top of the cabinets. They're not in the display cases. Alright. Now, we're going to put you guys down here for a second while I unload this. Great truck, yep. Evening, hi, good afternoon, nice summer cut, thanks, yeah. Do you get a salary from the farm or just paid based off profits from the corporation? Nope, we all take a salary. So we all get a paycheck, regular, just like any other employee of any other corporation. So all that is figured into our profit and loss and stuff for the year. And so, when you look at farm profit or net farm profit from the end of the year, like any profit is good because we've already taken living wages out. we've already gotten our paychecks. So, and then we can use the profits from the farm. We can, sometimes we'll pay a bonus at the end of the year, or it can be a dividend, or it can be retained earnings that we use for capital improvements or whatever. Paying off debt. Based on your ownership. Nope. Yeah. I mean, we do sometimes do dividends, but not most of it. We take wages. Gotta go. The adaptive ground speed didn't seem to notice the stalks bunching up. No, it definitely did not notice that. Those cameras are looking forward farther than that, right at the corn head, and so it wouldn't notice a problem on the head itself. Had we had any rain, I don't think that would have been an issue, because after that little rain we got, was that yesterday morning? We didn't have any issues with it yesterday, but it was an issue in the same field before the rain the day before. So it's just that's just the dry, fluffy stalks that we've got this year that bunch up on the corn head. And everybody I've seen has been dealing with it on social media in the area. It's not unique to us. It's not unique to our hybrids or anything like that. Certain hybrids are worse than others, but it's pretty widespread, it sounds like. You have a nice farm and area around you. I know the area. I'm a truck driver, and I'm in the area a bit from Ontario, Canada. Nice. Yeah, we're in a pretty nice area. You don't think that when you're a kid. You're just like, well, this is normal, and then you go somewhere else like, hey, it's really cool here. But yeah, it's a pretty nice area when you stop and think about it. I like watching your YouTube videos when we're learning on YouTube. Well, thank you. They do a great job too. So hit the thumbs up. Yes, please do that. Oh, from Latvia. Nice. Hi. Nice Brewery Farms. Glad to see you live again. Yep. OSU escapes again. Best content on YouTube. Thank you. Yeah, I had to wait till the game was over to do this live stream. It was a little too close for comfort here today, but it's a win. A win is a win. They better play a whole lot better next week, or Penn State will rout them. It's not going to be pretty. So let's see. Next 9 video rocked this page. Yeah, that one's done pretty well. So how's Rylan doing with his driving? Why isn't he driving now? He drove a little for me a couple days ago, again with me, or riding with me. He didn't do a lot, but he wanted to come and ride, and we were opening up ends. I said, you gotta let me do this, and he kept asking, when do I get to go? When do I get to go? I don't know what they're doing today. They were home, and then I think my wife was going to take him to a fall farm, corn maze, pumpkin patch, something like that type things today. So I went home for lunch and nobody was there, so I'll assume that's what they're doing. All right, he's got about another round to get some end rows opened up on these short rows, and then we're going to go grab a fuel truck. Try and take you guys with me. Keep it live. All right, back down here where I can see you. You gonna fill this truck? Yep. Oh, let Phil catch up too. Could you let the 360 rain machine run in another cornfield by mailing an extra well station? I'm going to assume you meant drilling an extra well or something along those lines. Sure, it could run in another field, but how are you going to get it there? That's the problem. It is not mobile. It is, even if you fold it up, it's not terribly wide folded up, but it's still 16 feet tall and it moves half a mile an hour. You can't put it on a truck because it's too tall. In order to make it shorter, you have to take all the hose off, which is not practical. And to try and drive it down the road, it goes a half a mile an hour or less. So getting it to another field would be very, very challenging. Now, if you had a setup where you had a couple of fields across the road from each other, absolutely, you can do that. Have a hookup on each side of the road, water one side, then go to the other. That's totally reasonable. But it doesn't work for our situation. But I'm already pushing that machine to its limits. Like we're covering as many acres as I'm comfortable with anyway. And I mean, there's an argument to be made that I should cover less acres more to get better yields in those spots. And yeah, I don't know. You want me to go now?
Yeah, go ahead right now.
Alright, so we're going to park this and let him work on some short rows here. I can kind of show you. Maybe. The rows still go through, but there's only about one more pass. And can you see those little trees right there, those willow trees? There's some short rows here in the front that he's going to work on while we go and get the fuel trailer. So we're just going to park this and go for a walk down to the pickup and see if the fuel trailer's got any fuel in it or not, or if we got to wait for that to fill up. Alright, we good? Empty the truck, switch it to the blue one. Good to go. Do I need a jacket? It's not warm, but it's not that cold. Okay, turn you around here. Alright, where are we at? Oh yeah. Daughter goes to OSU, and dang, the QB said he didn't want to play, but they keep making him. Ohio State's quarterback said he doesn't want to play. I highly doubt that. They have 4 other very talented quarterbacks that if he doesn't want to play, he can leave. So, I mean, he's good. He's not great. Freshman, Julian's saying that's who should be playing. Maybe next year. Anyway. Good day from Norway this time. Demo of the 16-row and good corn was amazing. From that, 12-row would seem to be perfect. Yeah, I think we opened the possibility of the 12-row head working for us. We'll see. Are the steam sales separate from farm then? Seed sales, I assume you mean. Yes. Seed business is 100% mine. That is my deal. I do that myself, and has nothing to do with farm. So that's a whole separate corporation. It's actually an LLC that I do, and I am the sole owner of the seed business. So yeah. How does your seed business work with the farm? Do you sell to the farm? Does the farm get a discount? Nope. The farm sells, or the farm buys seed from me as a dealer. Do they get a discount? Well, I mean, the farm is a very large customer, so they get a good price on seed, but no. I make a little bit of commission on that seed, which helps. But it's not any different than any other farm would be, or yeah, that's how that works. So good afternoon from Boise, Idaho. Happy and bountiful harvest for you. Love the content. Thank you. Oh, from Missouri. I bet he sells to his own farm at cost. The way that the seed business is set up is I get a commission based on acres that I sell now. It used to be on bags, now it's on acres. So I don't really get the opportunity to set prices. The price is what the price is. I could probably refund some of that money to the farm from the seed business if I wanted to, but I don't need to do that. Now on the seed treatment side of it, that's different. That I can and do sometimes cut a break on my own stuff to the farm. So, how many I follow many egg channels, but yours is the best. Explain why you have 31,000 subs instead of 310,000. You want to know why? Because I was late to the game. There were lots of established YouTube farmers when I started in 2019 doing this. Larson started just a little before me, but about the same time. But Millennial Farmer, Welkers, Brian Brown, How Farms Work, Cole, numerous other ones. So there was kind of a saturated market that I walked into, and I am not nearly as entertaining as they are. That's why. I have good content. I have educational content. I can talk about things a little more detail. Not that I know more, just that I talk about things in more detail than they do. But but it's not as exciting and fun, and I don't have as many subscribers, so whatever. It's fine. We're still growing. We had a little spike the last month or two here, picked up 1,000 or 1,500, and it's good. We'll just keep going. Larson's video today had a neighbor field fire. Yeah, well, they're in a totally different area and different circumstances, and I'm not saying it's not possible to have fires. I'm just saying that's not a high concern of ours. I've never, ever in my 38 years can I remember having a fire in a field where we were actually working. I've seen field fires, most of them arson, that were intentionally set by somebody driving down the road, but never have I ever seen one that happened from a piece of equipment or because we were in the field working. Thanks for peeling back the curtain, showing all that you can. Stop picking on Brock. I like picking on Brock. I was really nice to him this week too. Did you guys? Nobody said anything about how nice I was to Brock. Ready for Michigan State, Michigan? Yeah, is that game on right now? I forgot about that one being today. I was just happy Ohio State got the win, but yeah, I'm ready for that. I think my Sparty's got a shot. It got a shot. How did the S9 compare in fuel per acre compared to your guys? Really good, actually. I think we were, for that 100-acre field that we ran, now the combine monitor said when we were burning or running, it was like 1.2 gallons per acre, which is low for shelling corn. I think ours runs like 1.6 or 1.7 gallons per acre shelling corn, but we're not as efficient as we could be because of running a 8-row head on a Class 8 machine. That said, it was full of fuel when we started in the morning, and I filled it up after we were done, and it took 173 gallons to do 100 acres. So that's closer to 1.7 by the time you're done there. And but I don't know what ours would be either. Honestly, the difference between 1.2 and 1.7 or 2.2 is so insignificant. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you're talking about a gallon of fuel per acre at the absolute most difference. And we got a transport load of fuel in this week. It cost us $2.60 a gallon. All right, what do we got for fuel on here? She's full. Almost full. Excellent. I do want to see how much fuel we've got in this one. I can't see. I think we might top that off. Last thing you want to do is run out of gas in your little engine. I had at one point a fuel tank in the back here, but I think that kind of rattled around and spilled, and we decided that probably wasn't a good idea. Oh no, it's in there, but that's not promising, is it? Appears to be broken and empty. All right, we're not going to do that. Okay, well, let's put a little gas in there. We'll pull up to the gas tank here. Alright. Hello from the barn. Just got finished running Cat 6 internet and installing dedicated PC for streaming movies. Currently working. Nice. What are you harvesting? Corn. We're harvesting corn. Pretty good corn, too. Alright. Hello from Troy, Ohio. Yes, that game was not at all impressive. Yeah. Work on that offensive line and protect your quarterback. Yeah, their offensive line is trash. It's not good. Not good at all. You guys, hold on. You're sticky. Wait a minute. Find a spot. Can you hear me now? Oh, sorry guys, I pushed the wrong button. Thanks, Ken. Anyway, we'll go back to park the X9. Yeah, we didn't park the X9 next to the S780 because they were never at the farm at the same time. Why couldn't the 16-row stay unfolded and put on a platform? Well, because I don't know. It came to me unfolded on a 40-foot trailer, so we put it back unfolded on that trailer. I don't know if you could fold it up and put it on a smaller one or not. However, it is very heavy, and I don't know that you would want to put it on a smaller, lighter trailer. So, I don't know. Is the Rain one-wheel drive or three-wheel drive? It's one-wheel. Put the steer tire on a dolly and then get a real lay-flat hose instead of aluminum pipe. Huh? It is three-wheel drive, regardless of whatever you're trying to say to me. But it's not aluminum pipe on any of it anyway. It's the plastic 3-inch hose that's on the reel itself that would be the problem that you'd have to take off to make it shorter. So not feasible any way you look at it. All right, well, he's still moving, so we're just gonna sit here and wait for him. Globe and monitor are working great. Thanks from North Dakota. Oh, you're the guy that bought my stuff. Great, good to hear. Glad that works. Welcome from North Carolina. Love the content. Thank you. Hello from Syracuse, New York. Just got on. How's your harvest going? Harvest is going well. We're flying through stuff. The corn's been great. It's been very dry. All is good. All is good. All right. Now we wait for Dad. I'm from Clayton. Hello. I don't think you were late. You just teach a master's class, and yes, you're right. You don't have a dugout. Yeah, that's the other thing on why I don't have more subscribers. I don't have the personalities on my channel that some of these other guys have, and that's fine. Rock's only so good, you know. All right, let's put you guys right there, and we'll just wait. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn around. That's all right. Your channel is informative, and I watch you because you are closer to me than other channels. Okay. Happy Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Oh, it's a good night game. Good. Poor Brock. I like your channel because you're local. I live in Archibald. Yep. But I can only be local for some of you, not for everybody. And if we're going to get to 100,000, we're going to need to have some non-local people watching. You were nice to Brock because you were distracted by the X9, to tell the truth. Yeah, maybe. But he did do a really good job in the cart trying to keep up. So, yeah. Enjoy the old tractor rebuild. Also, currently have a 1928 Farmall that I would love to restore, as my dad did very well with the local tractor pulls around the area back in the early 90s. Nice. Yeah, that's a slow project, but we're getting there. I'm going to have to make a phone call about my engine this winter sometime, I think. Greetings from Italy. Is it possible one day to come visit your farm? It'll be awesome. I'm not going to say yes because I don't want a bunch of random people showing up. But if you're in the States or you're planning a trip, send me an email and we'll see if we can make something happen. Never hear you complain about grain prices like other farmers. How do you stay positive? Well, I don't do the marketing, so that helps. But again, it goes back to a lot of that structure and how we get set up. Like, I get a paycheck no matter what the grain prices are. I'm a little shielded from that. Like, we need grain prices to be decent. However, we're in a very strong financial position because of how well we've done over the last, 40 years, but really the last 15 or 20 years. And it gives us some cushion. We're okay. Like, we can weather some $3.50 to $4 corn for a year or two and be just fine. And we don't overextend ourselves like a lot of people do. We don't pay outrageously high rents for the area just so we can farm more ground. We have competitive rents. We pay good money, but we don't overpay and we don't vary it. Like, we don't drop rent to our landlords. We will never be the person that goes out and bids rent up super high trying to find more ground, but we also aren't coming to them when grain goes to $3.50 and saying we can't afford to pay this anymore. Because while landlords appreciate getting more money, they hate it if you ever try and give them less, and you probably aren't going to be the one farming it. They may take less, but it's going to be from somebody else. And so we're proactive and we raise things when they need to be raised. but conservative at the same time and consistent, and the checks are good every single year. So I guess that's a long answer to how we stay positive about grain prices, but control your expenses. That'll do it. Can you run your trucks on red diesel? Absolutely not. That's a big no-no. Do not do that. Sorry guys, sorry about the sound thing. We got her fixed. Sound is still out. Hopefully I got it all. Any farm fires in your area, field or farm? No field fires that I'm really aware of. I'm sure there's been some. Brock would answer that better than I could. However, we had, I've heard of 5 different combine fires. 3 of them were on one farm, but yeah. Also, that's because you're local. Grew up near Waldron. Parents used to own a 3-apartment house in Waldron near the Four Corners. I like picking out where you're at. Nice, yeah. Sorry, guys. I know some fields get a different applications, but on average, how many passes does the sprayer make on your corn fields? On corn, the sprayer. So the sprayer is going to make a herbicide pass, is going to be the first one right after planting, pre-emerge. The sprayer is going to make a V5 fungicide pass. And then we are going to come in with a tassel fungicide pass. So 3 passes on corn with the sprayer. Occasionally we'll do some foliars and stuff, but haven't gotten into doing that on widespread acres. Quit turning your head. I'm trying to relive. Sorry. Yes, yep. It's back. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yep. Okay. I'm glad you're on it. All right. So Dad is going to pull up and unload there. I think we'll pull the fuel trailer up to right where he's at, and I'll make sure he sees me, but we'll get the combine fuel up. We'll see if he stops. We'll do that first. Shuts everything down. We have sound. So you're quietly looking for a 12-row for corn for next year. We have not brought this up. Dad made the comment that we could probably buy a 12-row or run a 12-row. We are in the equipment shopping mood. We get in that after harvest. And 12-row corn head is not our biggest need. But it's also, I don't want to say it's not a major expense, because a 12-row folding corn head, which, by the way, if we go to a 12-row corn head, I will not buy one that doesn't fold. We cannot be taking the head on and off every time we have to change fields. It has to be a folding corn head. Yeah, he shut that off. So, you're looking at $150,000. Is that a major expense? Yeah, but it's not a $500,000 expense like a lot of stuff is. So, we'll see. But we have other things. We're not shopping for one right now. I don't know. It's not hard to find a corn head if you want one. They're everywhere. Never hear you complain about, yeah. My brother just called and told me the local volunteer fire department were coming back from a combine fire, turned their truck over in a side ditch. Oh no, that sucks. 4:15 sound went out. Looks like good weather there today also. Man, that was a while ago. Alright. Hello from Adrian, yeah. Fueling. What the DEF do? Don't need DEF. Don't have to. Alright. What was your deciding factor for going with your pull type spreader versus the self-propelled cost? We looked at self-propelled. We were convinced we were going to go that direction, and then we went and looked at some that were used with reasonable amount of hours, 2,000-3,000 hours, and they just were in rough shape. The fertilizer is super corrosive, and I know ours is going to get that way too, but we decided we were better off starting with a new one that was in really good shape than a used one that was not. And we bought this new one for less than what a used rough self-propelled one would cost. Plus the self-propelled aren't as big. Like, we have way more capacity with this pull type than we would have with the self-propelled, so that's part of it. Yes, I know who you are, Angus. Hello from Cape May. Go Penn State, like your channel. No, don't go Penn State. Here comes Dad. We'll see if he wants to be on YouTube. Yes, almost full. Want to be on YouTube?
Really?
Well, we're live.
Huh?
I'm live.
Oh, you're live.
Yeah. Would you ask your dad to talk on camera about how farming was when he was a young child, if his dad's farm, if he wouldn't mind? Someday we're going to do that. We haven't gotten to it yet.
Farming with a 40-20 and a 560 farm wall.
40-20 and a 560. Yep, that's right.
70 John Deere.
Yeah.
Hand clutch.
Hand clutch. What was your first combine that you had?
Dad or me?
Yeah, your dad.
He had a 45.
45. John Deere 45 combine. I have thoughts of doing a farm history video with Dad at some point. We haven't got there yet.
I might have all the wrong information.
Doesn't matter.
Just my opinion.
Well, we'll make Ron do it with us. We'll get a second opinion. Enjoy your thorough in explaining what you're doing. I also enjoy your sense of humor, especially when teasing Brock. See, good. Somebody appreciates it. If you do move to a 12-row, would it put a bigger grain cart on the need to buy list? Probably not. Our 1,000-bushel cart would keep up with a 12-row because we could take a whole round even in half-mile rows. That 16-row, we couldn't take a whole round. But that wouldn't be the case with a 12-row, so I doubt it would make us get a bigger grain cart. When are you going to get Phil an electric tarp for the semi? You know, the other day we pulled into the elevator, he was right in front of me, and he had to stop and get out and roll the tarp, and I teased him, and I said, "You ready for a button for that yet?" And he just laughed and said no, so if he doesn't want one, he doesn't get one.
He needs exercise.
He needs the exercise. He's like Dad, who wants to take time to load the sprayer because he needs to get out and stretch.
That's right.
That's right.
You get arthritis, you get old, you gotta move around a little bit.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of field fires this year. Do you help others in your area when needed? I mean, again, we haven't had them. I haven't had that need. If there was a fire and I had a disc or something hooked up that I could help with, sure, we'll go and help, but it's not that common. Watch you every day. I've learned a lot. Thank you. 2-pass herbicide program, not worth it there. We haven't done it because we've gone with a premium. We're using Acuron, and it's worked well for us. We haven't needed to go to a 2-pass. I do sometimes put some glyphosate in with my V5 fungicide, so maybe we're doing a little bit of that, but no, we haven't. 12-row or a new Haggie? Yeah, right. That's the decision, right? So what's the next big equipment purchase? We'll figure that out after harvest probably. I don't know. We've done a lot.
Get a spray drone for you.
Spray drone, yep. It's going to be a spray drone. I don't know if that's a big farm purchase, but it's a farm purchase. What's the size of your biggest grain bin? Is it similar to the new one Larson's just built on the farm where I worked? Bins used to cost less than $1 per bushel to build. Is that still the case? It's definitely not less than $1 per bushel. I would guess it's closer to $2 to $2.50 a bushel at least. Our big one is 120,000 bushel, and I couldn't tell you what Larson's put up, so I'm not sure. But it's a big bin. It's a 54-foot diameter, 16-ring tall bin. Greetings from South Carolina. What was the farm's first combine? See, I told you they would ask that. 45. If you went to a Haggie, would you consider a dry box for your 4930? We talked about that at one time. I really like the spreader we just got, so probably not. 45s are sweet, perfect for a homestead. There you go. Farm history video would be great. Looking forward to the history video. Greetings from Northern Europe. Have a good one. Thank you. Can you water 30-inch soybeans with the rain? Yes, we can, and we will, but not next year. Bigger seed treater or maybe a seed cleaner? Yeah, I don't really know that I need a bigger seed treater. It's something that I've thought about, but I don't know how it would help me unless we went to bulk seed, and I can't handle bulk seed. I have to be able to get it all out early, so that's probably not a realistic option either. If you get one drone, you might as well get two. Well, maybe. We're going to start with one. My dad started with a 45 combine. There you go.
I never drove it.
You never drove it?
No. It was before I was old enough.
How old were you when, you know, what'd you get next?
My dad got a 303 International.
303 International.
I just was.
Is that older and smaller than like the 915 that Charlie had?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when we started farming, Dad got a 4400 and 79.
79, he got a 4400.
The brand new one.
Did you use that up here?
We did for a couple of years, and then in '84 we bought the second 4400.
You got two. You had two.
We had two of them.
Nice.
Before we got that, we were down to Berkey. We had Charlie's 915.
Yep.
And John Deere 55.
The 55.
And the 40. Charlie had two combines.
Oh, Charlie had that. Yeah, yeah.
4400. We were combining these the first year in '82 on Charlie's with three combines.
Nice.
I was trying to drive the 915.
Oh, so after the 4400 here, the 6620?
Yeah.
So that's the first one I remember was the 6620. And Dan went to that 4435, right?
Yeah.
Now we had a 4435, which you don't see very many of anymore, but
That was a European.
yeah, I remember it. I remember riding in it. And then after the 6620, we bought a 9500, then a 9510, and then the 9550. And then the 9660, and we ran those two together for a while. And then we went to the 680, and now the 780. All right, where are we at here? You guys have livestock too? We don't have any livestock currently. Dad had pigs when I was a kid, but got out of pigs in the early 90s. 96? Oh, I thought it was 92. 96. Okay. What was the first tractor that you bought?
New one?
Yeah, well, no, just new tractor you bought. So when you started here in 80, using for equipment from Berkey, what was the first tractor for up here?
The 4520.
The 4520. Okay.
But that's 81.
81. Okay.
We ran that, and Dad bought a 2670. Thought we needed a 2670 case.
Yep.
We ran that for a couple years, and
Did that ever go to Berkey?
I don't. No.
Okay.
No. I don't think so. And then we thought we ought to have the 2870.
Right. So we had a 2670 case and then a 2870 case. And what happened to that one?
There was a seal or something in the transmission that went bad. Transmission went bad. Well, the 2670, the engine.
Engine. I remember the engine block sitting in the old shop there.
Yeah. First day of spring.
Yep.
In '89. First field,
Really?
First round.
First field of the first round and the engine went bad. I remember getting a Steiger, a green Steiger. Do you remember what it was? Number or anything?
No. We rented that.
Rented it while ours was getting fixed.
Yeah.
So then you got rid of the 2670 and got a 2870.
And then we had transmission trouble.
And the dealer rebuilt it.
Well, one of the dealers rebuilt it, and then it went bad again real
Promptly
quick.
went bad because they did it wrong.
So we went to another dealer.
And we haven't had any red equipment since. Funny how that happens.
Well, yeah. Well,
How long did you have that 2870?
Well, we got rid of it. It went bad again in the spring of '92.
When did you get it? Couldn't have been real long.
90 or...
So you only ran it for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Then we went down to Otts and demoed a 4955.
I remember this.
And a case 7130 from Archibald.
Yep.
And we bought the 4955.
I remember this.
Never looked back.
I remember the day that both of those tractors showed up in the yard and we were demoing them, and Phil really liked the red one because it had an air ride seat, but the 4955 was bigger, had more power, and so that's what we needed, so that's what we ended up with.
They did a good job.
And that was a great tractor. We had that tractor all the way up to 2012 when we traded it in on the 8R, the 8335R. Do you? I don't regret that one. The 8300 I'm going to miss. The 4955 was not capable of anything anymore.
That's true.
It just, the hydraulics, the electronics, it wasn't capable. So
Yeah, we couldn't justify keeping it.
yeah. Oh well. Has your dad and uncle always been good in maximizing production like you guys do now? Yeah. I mean, I feel like Dad's always handled a lot of the agronomic side of stuff until I got back around. But we've always done a good job. I like to think that I've added to it and pushed things to the next level since I've been back in the last 15 years now. But yeah, it's always been do the best you can with what you've got, and quality matters. First combine my neighbor had that I grew up working on was a Uni 3-row combine system. I believe he got a Gleaner F and then went to an L. We've never run a Gleaner. 45, 66, 20, 9500, 9560. Nice. Not too different than our lineage there. I think a drone purchase is a good idea for your farm, Nathan. I'm going to talk to my mom and my brother about getting a drone for our farm. Yeah, that one's pretty much we've decided it's going to happen. We just got to make it happen. 2 hour and 12-minute live stream. Am I really? I'm not that far in. It's 55 minutes. What advantage do you have with John Deere in addition to the machines and the technology management software that John Deere offers? Well, first and foremost, it goes back to the quality of our dealers. And we have 2, at least, John Deere dealers local that I would work with before any of the red dealers. There are 2 other John Deere dealers that we could work with if we needed to. And I'm not talking different stores, I'm talking different dealer chains. But the one that we work with Greenmark, they've been excellent to work with for us. Basically done most all of our business there since we bought our 9660 from them brand new in 2007. And we really like working with them. So it starts there, and then you get into the actual machines and the technology, like you're saying, and we've had good luck. Like, we have little issues and things break, but things break on all of them. And I feel like John Deere is so much more advanced and refined in the comfort, in the cabs, in the technology, in the user friendliness, the operating systems, all of that stuff than the red combines. A year or 2 ago, I jumped in and wrote with one of my seed customers that was running a 8010, I think, case combine. And it was like a 2012 or 13 model year combine, very similar to our S680 that we ran prior to this combine. But the technology in it matched our 9500, I felt like. It was just, I just didn't feel like it was nearly as refined and modern as what we were running. So $294 gallons. You had 40 gallons yet, you probably could have finished the field.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. All right, we'll mark this out of the way and keep it moving. He gets nervous. I'll run it until it's 1 bar flashing at me, but at that point you're like, all right, it's not worth running it out of fuel. So yeah, that's a big reason why we've stuck with John Deere. And it's just like running this combine and grain cart tractor, right? And running that machine sync. You can't do that if you have a red anything in there. At least not with John Deere technology. And to try and mix and match and have some ag leader technology or some Raven technology or whatever other companies they are working with, and then you got different operating systems to learn, and it just complicates things so much. And it's so much simpler to have it all under the same operating systems, the same brand and all of that. So I would really like to get away from using any of the old 2630s, but I don't know. But some of this newer stuff is a little more difficult for some people to learn too. Dad absolutely hates running this grain cart because he doesn't know how to drive the tractor. Now, to be fair, we've never given him real good lessons. Like, he's driven it some, he knows how it works, but he complains to me a lot that nobody ever taught him how to run it. Well, he's never asked. Like, I can't teach him if he's not open to it. And frankly, this is a little bit of the reason why we're going to buy a spray drone and put off the purchase of a sprayer for a little while. I am concerned if we bought a new sprayer, it would overwhelm him on the technology and he wouldn't really be able to run it very well. But we'll see. Anyway, that truck's full. Okay. Now Phil should be back soon. Alright, where are we at here? You know that feeling? Spent $1,000 you're building an engine, went boom, 50 feet into spring bush hogging. Yeah, well, when that 2870 transmission went out and then there was a nut that didn't get Loctite or retaining or something, I don't remember exactly, but it was a dealer error. They fixed it, but again, we lost the tractor for a spring. 4955, my favorite John Deere tractor of all time. It was a good one. It was a really good tractor. Sorry about the sun here. Let's move, you guys. Let's move. Where should we go? How about over here? I don't like that cord there, but stay, maybe. It doesn't have the electronics to be able to run the auto steer and the the GPS and section controls and all that stuff on the newer planters. It didn't have the hydraulic capacity to run any of that stuff, and it just wasn't going to keep up anymore. So that's why we had to get rid of that one. Do you like dumping fertilizer in the ground and using a tractor to load, or are you planning on doing something different in the future? No, I don't like doing it. That's a necessity right now because we don't have any other facilities to really do it. We've made the best of it, but it's kind of one of those things. You can't build the fertilizer barn if you don't have a spreader, and that's pointless. And so yeah, that's probably, see, that's the thing. Instead of equipment upgrades, we might do some infrastructure stuff next year, like putting up a fertilizer barn and pouring a whole lot of concrete to dump fertilizer on and be able to load the spreader nice and store it and get it in the off season when it's cheaper and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's the yeah, we haven't talked about it yet, but when we get down to Berkey, we'll talk a little more. But we've got some grain system stuff down there that we might be looking at for next year too. So those things might take precedence over a sprayer. That was pretty slick. You got your dad on YouTube anyway. He stood there and he knew what was happening. What generation farmer is your dad, and has he ever worked anywhere else? All right, so a little brief history on Dad's story. So my great-grandpa, my dad's grandpa, is the one that bought kind of the original farmstead down to Berkey where we still farm, that we're still farming today. His parents or maybe grandparents settled in a different area over east of Toledo. And so I don't know where you consider starting the generations, right? I'm sure that everybody in our family has farmed 100 generations back in some way, shape, or form or another. But based on, what we're still farming and kind of where the whole thing started, I would consider my dad third and me fourth generation. My great-grandpa sort of bought the original place. My grandpa then bought the farm down the road a little ways. We still farm both of those places, still own them. And then obviously my dad started here in 1980, but he kind of started off on his own. I almost consider my dad a first-generation farmer a little bit, because when he asked his dad to come back and farm with him, and his dad told him no, they didn't have room and he couldn't do it. So he started on his own. So Dad, when he graduated from high school, he started working in a factory making a couple bucks an hour and was trying to figure out how he was going to save up enough money to buy a farm, decided that wasn't going to work. And so he called his high school guidance counselor in June and said, I want to go to college. And they got him into Ohio State for that fall. June, for that fall. Different nowadays. And he went down and got a 4-year degree in agronomy. And then after college was working for Brookside Labs, doing soil test, feed testing, that kind of stuff. Did that for a couple of years, and then the opportunity came to farm here, to buy the home farm where he still lives, and started that up, and it's gone from there ever since. So, like I said, someday I want to do a farm history video with Dad, maybe my Uncle Ron, sit down and really go through that kind of stuff. And it'll probably be 3 hours long, but it'll be the best video I ever make. So I want to make sure we get it right. Is your college degree similar to what an agronomist has that works for a fertilizer company? Mine probably not. Dad's more so. So Dad has a degree in agronomy, or what would be considered crop and soil science. My degree is in ag business management. My degree would be more similar to what the guy managing the fertilizer company would have, not the agronomist from that company. So, yeah. But once you have a degree in ag, you can pretty much do anything, so it's entirely possible. Is there a solution to deer and other animal damage? I'm sorry about the sound, guys. Do you have issues with people, kids damaging crop? Is there a solution to it? More hunters? Not really. There are some companies that make some like pepper spray type stuff, chemicals that you can spray that are made out of peppers that are supposed to deter the animals, but they're not super effective, especially if it rains. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. As far as issues with people and kids damaging crop, it happens. And we had somebody ride a four-wheeler through some of our stuff this year. I've seen people take a truck and go off-roading through cornfields before. It's not a huge thing. It's not something we deal with a lot, but yeah, it happens. Miss Bader and Sons Hudson's is great because the access to the inventory burn-ups won't give me the time of day. Redline has nothing for inventory. Yeah, I mean, those are some of the different dealers. I've dealt with Hudson's just a little bit. One of their salesmen, he treated me really well. I was impressed with them. It'd be a hard thing for them to sell me something when we have such a good relationship with Greenmark, but you never know. And then, that's not what we want. As far as the red dealer, it just, people remember how you treat them when you walk in, right? And I've never gotten treated real well. And to be fair, it's been years and years, so maybe it's different now. But I haven't had a reason to try again. Alright. We got a truck. We farm near some housing developments. Are there any issues with non-farmers? Yeah, we do. Down to Berkey especially, we have one field that's right next to a subdivision. Never really had too many issues. Occasionally somebody will complain about something. A few years ago, a guy complained about the cornstalk leaves blowing across the road and getting in his pond. I can't do anything about that. Like, it happens. That's part of growing up or living in the country. Oh, don't. Come on, Scale. Okay, go ahead. You and your dad seem to get along well. Yeah, we do. For the most part, we do. Obviously, we have our moments, just like any other father-son duo and people working with family, but we do. He likes to tell people that I let him think he's in charge, and he lets me think I'm in charge, and we get along good because of that. So, yeah. I think your daddy's a good man. Yes, he is. Good evening. Watching from the middle of Tennessee. Been following your channel since spring. Love the videos. Love the X9 video. Thank you. Concrete truck for the farm in the future. Oh, no. What will you do when your dad and Phil retire? Will that be a huge loss? Absolutely, that'll be a huge loss. Here's the thing. Farmers don't retire. Dad will slow down. He already has some. But he'll never retire fully. So I let him do what he wants as much as he wants and try not to ask too much of him. But we'll see. Hopefully the ideal situation here is that they give me another 10 years and my boys can step right into that role. I might have to hire somebody in the meantime there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure that out. But that's a lot of the equipment upgrades and stuff that we have been doing over the last 5 years. I've kind of been with that in mind. Like, how do I personally be more productive and get more done in a short time? Like buying a 24-row high-speed planter. I don't need a 24-row high-speed planter to plant our crops. But it lets me do other things. Like some tillage or some spraying. Or even just see my family. Going to a 12-row corn head could be a similar thing if we made that decision. So, we'll see. Phil is significantly younger than Dad. 8 years or something like that, so he's got a ways before he'd be thinking about retiring anyway. Okay. What's the oldest building on the farm? The house. The house, by a long shot. Outside of that, it's got to be the old pig barn, where Dad's got his woodworking and stuff now. I mean, it's the old hip roof barn that was built whenever it was built, and then added onto with the lean-to on the south side, and then the shop was, when Dad bought the farm in 1980, the shop building was there. The walls and trusses and sides were there, but it didn't have a roof on it because the previous owner ran out of money to put the roof on. So that had to get finished when we got there, and then they poured some concrete. Yeah. Nathan's boys will be old enough to farm when his dad and Phil retire. That's the idea. We'll see if it happens or not. Just wait here. Call the DNR and ask for a depredation permit. They wrote me one for my 2 acres of veggies. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be the hunter. Got to see, do a family history farming video. See where I got your start. Going back through all generations. Yep, that's the goal. Bro's fourth generations of quarter first started in the 1880s. Nice. Only for a few years was rented out to others. We have some ground down to Berkey that we started farming in 1926. So coming up on 100 years there, which is pretty awesome. Surprised non-farmers aren't complaining about spreading chicken litter. Well, we don't spread any chicken litter at Berkey where the heavily populated areas are. We do hear a little bit about it up here sometimes, but people understand. And it's only for a day or two that it smells, and once we get it worked in, it goes away. So, yeah. Tell them you were here first. Right. Too many big farms end due to lack of transition planning or of management sharing. Yeah, that is something I give my dad a ton of credit for. Is he's never had the this is my farm and I'm going to make all the decisions attitude. It's he's always asked for my opinion in any of the big decisions we all kind of make together, but he's trusted me heavily with the seed decisions, and now more so with the fertility and the herbicides and chemicals and that stuff. Like, I've taken over a lot of that stuff, and it's a load off of him. He doesn't have to do it, and it gives me some skin in the game to be able to make some decisions and do something. So it's been good. He's been really good to me. Sorry I'm late. If this was already asked, did you see a big difference in the way that the new CF corn head was feeding in? No, not really. I mean, we had trouble with that just like we have with ours. It was a nice corn head. It had the chopping stock rolls on it that did a nice job, but I really like our 360 chain rolls that we're running. It did not have any stalk stompers on it, which I wish it did. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a huge improvement, but it was an improvement. You watch One Lonely Farmer. I've seen some of his videos. I don't watch a lot of them. What corn head did you have before this one? So we've been running this 608C since we bought our 680 combine. Before that, we had a 893. Actually, had two 893s there for a while because we were running two combines. How long have you been using Golden Harvest hybrids? How did you first try the products? Did someone recommend them to you, or was it your choice out of curiosity to try? Well, let me tell you about that one. So, when I was up at school at Michigan State, I had every intention of coming home to farm after I got done with school until my last semester up there. Dad called me and said, I can't afford to hire you. Go find a job. Long story short, but that's basically what happened. So I went to a career fair and started talking to different companies, and Syngenta was one of them. Got an interview, and then the next day, or had an interview the next day after the career fair. The next day after that, they offered me the job. And I kind of had a couple other things I was working on too, so I interviewed at some other companies, but the Golden Harvest had the best offer for me and the best potential, and so I took that job. There was question as to what brand I would get placed with, because Syngenta owned at that time, it was Golden Harvest, Garst, and NK were the three brands. Golden Harvest was the kind of farmer dealer channel, which seemed to fit me and my knowledge the best, so that's where I ended up. And I worked as a sales rep for them for almost 2 years before coming home to farm. So that's where we started trying the Golden Harvest products, because I was selling them, and it was just a little bit the first couple of years, and then it just kept getting more and more every year because it was doing well, until I had after I had been back and been a dealer for about 4 or 5 years, I had 6 different fields that were split planter side by sides with a competitive brand, and the Golden Harvest won 5 of the 6 side by sides by a fair bit. And I thought, why am I paying an extra $40 a bag for this other brand of corn that they don't pay me to sell, and it's yielding less? I couldn't do it. It didn't make any sense to me anymore. And so we've been 100% Golden Harvest basically ever since. And they've been good to me. I know I like to give them a hard time about not sponsoring the YouTube channel. I feel like they should. I give them a lot of value. But they've been very good to me, and we've gotten along really well with the hybrids. I mean, I don't know this yet. We'll see. But we are very rapidly approaching the end of harvest here, and still holding on to what would be a record corn yield for us this year. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for the weather we had this year. Like, we've got excellent corn. So yeah, that's how it happened. Because they gave me a job and started paying me. So I'm like, all right, we'll try it. See if you, yeah, there we go. Sun here. Try that. My machine sync turned back on. No. Is the land owned by the company, or is it a combination? Yeah, land is a whole nother subject on top of that whole corporation thing. So Borderview Farms, the corporation, does own some ground, but it's not very much. I think there's just 2 fields, 2 farms that Borderview Farms actually owns. We have 4 or 5 other land holding entities, LLCs and stuff, in addition to Dad owns some ground himself, Phil owns some ground himself, or with their wives, and I own a little bit myself, and so that's a whole nother thing. But essentially the corporation rents the ground from the other entities. Come on, why are we kicking out here? Communication issues on my machine sync. Better? Better. And that's been on purpose to keep it out of the operating entity, but also helps with the transition side of it and ownership. And because the reason we have so many different entities is because everybody has different percentage ownerships of those different entities, right? It's complicated, but basically that's it. When you get ready to put your hydraulic tank on, let me know. I like to do stuff like that at work all the time. Get ready to put your hydraulic tank on, let me know. What hydraulic tank? What are we talking about? I don't even know anymore. How much is corn going for right now? I looked this morning, I think it was somewhere in the 370, 375 a bushel range for cash corn right now. It's not good. It's not good at all. Where do you get your lime? I need about 4 tons. It's coming out of quarry in Dundee, but I hear that they're going to run out by Halloween, so if you want some, you better go figure out how to get it. 4 tons is sort of hard to do. They want to haul it by the semi-load, so you might have to figure out how to get a small load or go get it or something. I don't know. All right, where are we at?
I want to get them back end roads.
All right, I don't quite have enough to fill that truck yet, so I'm going to hang out back here for a little bit until you get some more. Alright, we're just going to sit here for a little bit. I'm going to move this again. I don't like it there. Let's go back here on this back window. We got to probably wrap this up anyway. We're an hour and 20 minutes into it. What is the most important factors on fertility that you found in corn and soybeans to maintain good yields without huge expenses? Number one is your soil pH. You have to have the correct soil pH. If you don't start there, you're wasting your time. From that, phosphorus levels need to be above 20 parts per million. Potash or potassium levels need to be 150 minimum. Yeah, somewhere in there. Start with pH. Get the lime on, get it corrected. 6.5 to 7 is ideal. And then from there, put on as much P and K as you can afford. It's easy to see that you and your dad get along great. It definitely shows. You both have great attitudes. It's a pleasure watching you farm together. Thank you. Northrop King and Golden Harvest. The same genetics. I don't think we have a Golden Harvest in Ontario. I was thinking about trying a variety of NK beans next year. Yeah, so it's not technically Northrop King anymore. It is NK, but yeah, same lineage. And Golden Harvest, owned by the same parent company, and not necessarily the same genetics, but probably the same genetics. You can go to either of those companies' websites and look up a tech sheet, and you can, say you wanted a 2-2 bean. You can look that up, and there's a pretty good chance you'll be able to tell if they're the same, just based on what those say. So, yeah, generally, the answer is yes. Oh, the hydraulic tank on the new truck. Gotcha. Yeah. For the wet kit there. Got it. Yeah. I'll let you know. Phil was working on that and trying to figure out where to get the wet kit and all that stuff. And we don't have a need for it right now, so I don't know if it's really something we're going to actually do soon, or if he's just putting that on the back burner until we have a need for it. But, yeah. All right, we are about caught up. So if you got any last questions, go ahead and get them in, and then we're going to try and wrap this one up here in the next 10 minutes or so. Do you first spread all your fertilizer and lime before ripping it all in, and do your corrections on soil each year? So yes, we spread first. The idea, especially with the lime and the fall spread fertilizer, is you want to mix it into that top 6 inches of soil profile, right? When we have soil samples pulled, we're pulling to a 6-inch soil depth, and you're trying to basically get the fertility right in that soil profile. And so incorporating that fertilizer is important so that it's not stratified and sitting right on the surface, because the phosphorus and the potassium won't really move down into the soil. You can lay nitrogen on the surface and it'll work its way down through the soil, but P and K don't. And so you gotta kind of get that stuff incorporated and work down into the soil to have the best results from it. Same thing with the lime. You need that mixed in really well. As far as doing it every year, generally no. We're soil testing basically anything that is going to corn the following year. So most fields are on a 2 to 3 year testing rotation, and we're generally correcting or we're adding stuff ahead of a corn crop. Either that's after wheat comes off in the late summer or after the beans come off, like some of what we've been doing now. The exception to that is where we spread chicken litter in the fall, generally again ahead of a corn crop. We will come in and put potash on those corn stalks the following year. So like that's what I did yesterday when we spread that potash, was it was going on corn stalks up there in the irrigated field. Now that's going back to corn, so that's a little different. But even if it was going to beans, we would put some potash out there because there's not enough potassium in the chicken litter for 2 years crop. And maybe we need to be getting more into annual spreading and stuff, and I might try and do some spring stuff now that we have this spreader, but it's how we've done it in the past anyway. So have a good Sunday. Thank you. Ohio State played terrible today. Yes, they did. Next weekend will be rough at this rate. Yep, they're going to have to play better. They're going to get smoked. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks for another great live feed. It was awesome to watch you in that X9. Appreciate that. Couldn't get over how excited you were. Man, it was cool. That was one of the coolest days I've had on the farm in a long time. Pretty darn awesome. What's your view and opinion on cover crops? I have nothing against cover crops. I do not think cover crops should be government funded. I think if you want to plant cover crops on your farm, you go for it, but you pay for it. I have not seen the benefits from cover crops. With the exception of the frost-seeded clover and wheat, which we like and we do a lot. It helps build soil tilth and organic matter, and it's been fantastic for our following corn crop. But we do it our way, where we let it grow after the wheat comes off, and then we spray it and kill it and work it under in the fall instead of letting it grow over winter. This whole letting things go over winter and then trying to come in the spring and get it worked and fit, and it just doesn't work. You saw that on that new farm that we bought this year, that half of it was cover crop, the other half was double crop beans. The cover crop side was terrible. And so there are lots of benefits to them. None of those benefits including growing more corn and soybeans, which is how we make money. So I'm not a big fan. I have no problem with anybody using them. I dislike the fact that there are government dollars tied to using them. All right. Take care. Have a good night. Doing a great job on Western Kentucky farm. Just lost my dad this crop. Getting used to doing this stuff myself. Man, I'm sorry. That sucks. That's going to be a hard year someday. 640 tractor was pretty awesome too. Yeah, it was. That was a pretty good day too. The X9 probably tops it, but that was a pretty awesome thing to get to do. Thank you all for coming. It was great in the chat. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, Steven, and thanks for sticking around the whole video. I remember you were one of the first comments, so appreciate it. Remember to vote. Yes, go vote. A couple weeks, 26, week and a half, something like that. Enjoy the live. All right, guys, appreciate you all joining in and watching along and all that. Video coming for tomorrow morning, so look out for that one, and we'll keep going. Harvest is getting closer to an end, but we're not done yet. So we'll try and do a live stream from Berkey next week sometime, maybe even in the double crop beans, but we'll see. So several fires around here. Any in your area with how dry it is? I've heard of some combine fires, not really any field fires too much. Brock would answer that better than I could. 9RX 680, you mean a 830? Yeah, maybe. No, I doubt it. But thanks for the video. Appreciate you. Have to be out here. I won't get my 1099. Yeah. Yeah. Take care, everybody. All right. We'll see ya.